into a new story. The status quo does not have to win.
We want to have a better future. We want to have a future.
We must fight. Now it's time for hope.
My biggest fear is that we'll not figure out the answers in time.
The uncertainty that we live with is enormously challenging.
The world has a lot of problems, and fortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs to try to solve them.
The 5,000 people are coming from different countries, from different walks of life. That is the beginning of the change that we need.
People who are willing to go first are what is driving our innovation.
Human beings are built for resilience, and creativity often emerges in times of great struggle.
We have to be able to dream of a future if we're going to be able to walk into it together.
We've seen ideas grow. We've seen communities come together. We've seen the rules challenged. And the world changed. The connections forged, the achievements made. Looking back, it's an incredible story.
Rooms like this are full of people that see technology's potential to improve lives.
Here at Web Summit, we have so many doers, more people who just have a voice that people want to hear.
We are all growing. That's what makes the Web Summit such a good place.
One way that democracy dies is that people believe that their vote doesn't count.
The status quo does not have to win.
We're living in an era where facts are under assault.
Please welcome to the stage, founder and CEO of Web Summit, Paddy Cosgrave.
Finally, here we are. You are very welcome to Web Summit 2022. We have the largest number of attendees ever, including the largest number of attendees ever from Brazil. Come on, Brazil, make some noise, come on. Brazil, of course, also, as of yesterday, has a new president, Lula. We have the largest number of attendees and startups ever from Ukraine. Please give them a huge round of applause. And finally, let's give a huge round of applause to our wonderful hosts, Lisbon and Portugal. Now, before I forget, my family, including my wife, Faye, and my son, Cloud, are here for the first time in many years. You're both very welcome. Along with my mum, who has never been to Lisbon before in her entire life. You're all very welcome. Now for a little bit more somberness. This year, more than ever before, I want to welcome each and every one of you. I can't tell you how great it is to see so many of you here, and I'm so grateful, genuinely, to be able to declare that Web Summit is back. We sold out this year's event weeks ago, and the numbers over the next few days are going to break all records. Wait till you see tomorrow. It has been a tough couple of years. We have had the pandemic, and now economic uncertainty and war in Europe. But through all that, even as we hosted amazing Web Summit events online, we knew that people wanted to come together in person, to meet in person, to talk in person, and to connect in person. And that is what this week is absolutely all about, making connections. There's no substitute for doing it in real life. Zoom calls just don't cut it. Here in Lisbon, we have the world's largest gathering of entrepreneurs and investors. And sitting all around you are amazing people. Yes, Web Summit is about brilliant speakers, many of whom you'll see on the stage starting this evening. But it's also very much about you. It's about you meeting each other, because so many of you can help transform careers, companies, and even countries. And so, in what has become an annual tradition at Web Summit, I'm going to ask all of you to stand up and introduce yourselves to at least 3 people around you. It's the joy of Web Summit. You never quite know who you are going to meet and what that might mean in your life. Are we ready? Let's all stand up. Come on, let's go. Now, stopping this is the hard part. It's very, very hard to stop this. But when you're done, if you could just take your seat, it would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. There's going to be lots more time for this over the next few days. At Night Summit, at Wine Summit, at the Food Summit. Oh my God, I can't stop you guys. Well, it has been an incredible year of lows and highs. Change, both good and bad, seems to be accelerating ever faster. Technology continues to turn upside down everything we thought was certain about work, society, politics, and life itself on our planet. Artificial intelligence, Web3, cryptocurrencies, climate tech, the metaverse, remote work, the evils and opportunity of social media. These are just some of the topics for the next few days. Now, before I introduce our first speaker, I would love to ask all of you to please take your seats, if you could. Antonio, who I see just there, if you could sit down, please. It's only a myth until you make it true. At the opening of the 2021 Web Summit, Carlos Moedas, then the newly elected mayor of Lisbon, said that he wanted to go beyond the top of the web and create a unicorn factory to promote the city as a technology center. He wanted to make sure that entrepreneurs who come to Lisbon stay and establish their companies here. Today, the promise has been fulfilled with the Lisbon Unicorn Factory announcement last week. Please welcome to the stage the Mayor of Lisbon, Carlos Moedas.
It all starts with a dream, an inspiration, powered by a vibrant community. From early on, we help ideas start to take shape, nurturing them throughout the initial stages, and now supporting growth to truly scale, raising your dream to $1 billion. It's only a myth until you make it true.
Hello. Welcome to Lisbon. Welcome to this wonderful city of ours, this city of light, this city of innovation, our city of Lisbon. We're so proud to have you here. Thank you for coming, to all of you. You know, last year, I was here on the stage telling you a little bit about the dream that I have for this city, about the vision that I have for the city. And I told you that I wanted to have a city that would be carbon neutral by 2030. And with that, I wanted at the time to have free public transportation for the young and the elderly. I wanted a city that cares for the elderly, and I wanted to have a free health plan for everyone that is over 65 years old. But I came here also to tell you about innovation. I worked for 5 years in Brussels on innovation, and I know that innovation is not an idea. Innovation is a process, is a way of getting something that is an idea to create jobs, to create growth. And I came here and said, look, I'm going to do this unicorn factory. And you know what happened? The next day, the political pundits, the opinion makers said, it is impossible. It will be impossible. They ridiculed my idea, some of them. They called me a fool, some of them. And I decided to call a friend that I love, Bertrand Piccard. Bertrand Piccard is the grandson of Auguste Piccard, a man that broke records going for the first time in the 30s, 1930, on a hydrogen balloon. He's the son of Jacques Piccard, who went on the deepest parts of our oceans to study the ocean. And Bertrand had this dream. He wanted to build an aircraft, an airplane that would be fully electric, no fossil fuels, and he wanted to go around the world. Imagine that, 40,000 kilometers around the world with an electric plane. And so he decided to go to every aircraft manufacturer. And he asked them, help me to do this electric plane. And they said, no. It's going to be impossible, all those solar panels. It will be too heavy. It will be too big to fly. And so he didn't give up, because Bertrand never gives up. And he wanted to find another friend. He found a friend that was a boat builder. And he asked me, help me. This is a dream, we have to do it. And the boat builder, imagine that, was able to create a structure for the airplane that was 10 times lighter than the best structure that an airplane engineer at the time was able to do. And he did it. They created solar impulse, and they went around the world alone, Bertrand Piccard, in a full electric airplane around the world. And I asked him, Bertrand, how was it possible that the boat builder did it and not the airplane engineer? And he said, you know why? And I said, no, because he didn't know it was impossible. So Carlos, surround yourself by those that don't know it is impossible. Surround you by the ones that you met at the Web Summit and do what you dream. And that's what I did. I surrounded myself with those people. And today I'm here to announce the Unicorn Factory of Lisbon. Every year, my friends, I'll take the 20 best startups that are entering the scale-up phase. We'll bring them to Lisbon. They'll stay 8 months with us. They will meet the unicorns that are today in Lisbon, the executives of those unicorns. They will have mentoring with the big tech companies, and they will learn how to do it, because innovation is a process. And so in just 1 year in Lisbon, since I said that last year, we had 8 unicorns that came to town to set up their offices. In just 1 year, we were able to actually have today free transportation for the young and the elderly in this city, and we launched the biggest free health plan for people over 65, where they can have a doctor when they call, and that doctor can go to their house. That's what we did, because we really want to transform this city in the city where the impossible meets the possible. You know, just finish with a final story. In 1962, President Kennedy said in a great speech, I want to put a man on the moon. Nobody believed it somehow. People thought it was impossible. But on the 20th of July, 1969, there was 2 men that walked on the moon. On the date of 2019, I was one of the privileged ones to meet one of them, Buzz Aldrin. And I'll never forget that, because when I met Buzz Aldrin, he looked at me, and I was at the time quite young compared to today, and he told me, you know something, when we went up there on that day of the 20th of July 1969, the average age of the engineers on the control center in Houston, Texas, was just 26 years old. So when Kennedy made that speech in 1962, those people were 18. They are the ones who changed the world. They are the ones that don't know it's impossible. And so I just wanted to join me to come to Lisbon to prove that it's the young generation. It's you. You will change the world. It's not the politicians. It's you. And I want you to be here to transform this city in that city that I dream, where the impossible meets the possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I would now like to invite to the stage, representing the government of Portugal, the Minister for Economy, Antonio Costa. Thank you, Minister. The floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening to everybody. Welcome to Lisbon. Welcome to Portugal. Welcome to the Web Summit. If you are enthusiastic about innovation, about technology, about searching for solutions for the problems that lie ahead of us, you are in the right place and in the right time. Lisbon is the city of the Web Summit, and the Web Summit is a love affair of the city. This is a very successful marriage based on a win-win approach. Web Summit is stronger than ever, and in Lisbon, in Portugal, we have developed in the last 6-7 years an ecosystem of innovation and technology that is providing answers to the country and to the economy. And regarding across the spectrum, we have today one of the highest number of unicorns in Europe per GDP. In the last 6 years, we were able to attract 20 times more venture capital for our startups. And in terms of the technological companies, the value of these technological companies increased 50 times in the last 6 years. So looking ahead, we have key challenges for the future. And Portugal today is a combination of surf with innovative technological companies. It's a combination of well-being with nice weather and nice startups, some of them becoming unicorns and going globally. And on top of that, we are a combination of sun, but also with technical solutions, starting in the energy side. We need solutions for energy to fight the climatic threat, and Portugal has today 60% of our electricity that comes from renewable resources. This is quite an achievement. We were one of the fastest countries to develop this transition, and we are looking ahead in terms of the battery. We will live in a battery-driven world. We need solutions for that, for storage. We need clean energy sources to complete the transformation. This is crucial for our planet. This is crucial for the sustainability of the Earth. And on top of that, we are reviewing our startup law. We will have one of the most competitive laws in terms of attracting startup and talent to Portugal. With the stock options, will be one of the most aggressive regimes. So please, if you are considering to develop your startups, your companies, your technological business, consider Portugal. And on top of that, the 27 European countries have decided to locate in Lisbon the European Agency for Startups. So we are dealing with, as a founder of the ESNA that will be launched during this conference. We are working with Spain, with Austria, with the other European countries in order to develop this business. But I would like also to announce here, as part of our national plan of recovery and resilience, that we will launch in the next days during the Web Summit a strong package of 90 million euros for digital vouchers and green vouchers to support 3,000 startups for the next 4 years. And together with that, we will launch a new package for the incubators in order to provide and support the operational costs of the incubators, to requalify the incubators in terms of the upskilled, attracting talent, and rendering service to the startups. And I would like just to finish saying that we are living very challenging times, but also very fascinating times. And if we look across the history of the human species, it was always the technology, the technical solutions that were able to solve the most difficult problems. Technology is not a panacea, but it can help to solve the problems that we have in front of us. And first of all, we have the problems of the cities. The cities consume 75% of the energy across the globe. They emit 80% of the dioxide of carbon. So we need to change the paradigm of the cities. And we need you, your ideas, your concepts, your projects to make this transformation. Without changing the paradigm of life in cities, we will not be able to fight the climatic threat. And we need also your contributions using all these available technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, to be applied to the health sciences. They will reshape the health sciences, and they will help us to detect in advance some of the most lethal diseases that affect the human race. And it is there, the patterns, they capture the patterns by these technologies. They can provide the answers to the future. We need as well response for our oceans. We have to protect the oceans, the ecosystems. We are witnessing a level of destruction in biodiversity in this planet caused by the consumption of the fossil fuels. That is not acceptable. And please don't be mistaken. The climatic threat is there. If we continue in this path, ignoring the most effective ways it is affecting the life in this planet, we will have problems in the future. But I think if we look back in our history, from the printing press to the steam engine, from the car to the plane, from the computer to the electricity, from the laser to the internet, all these extraordinary inventions of the human species create more wealth and they solve problems. And I hope that today we will be able, as a species, in a collaborative platform, to render solutions to this problem. And I would like just to finish saying that some centuries ago, the Portuguese navigators left Lisbon, just not far away from here, and they reached each continent on Earth. They launched the first wave of globalization. It was a sort of rehearsal of the globalization. And today we are very happy that you travel across the world to meet here in Lisbon, to exchange ideas, concepts, and find solutions for the problems of our time and facing the future. And please don't forget that the future is not what will happen to us tomorrow. The future is what we start doing right now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Minister.
So we go.
Hello. All right. The world is watched as the cryptocurrency sector grappled with plunging values in a crisis that remains unresolved. Amid all the volatility and opportunity, CZ, the founder of one of the world's largest crypto exchanges, is going in conversation with the technology business editor of The Times, Katie Prescott, shares his thought. Please welcome CZ to the stage. Hold on. Let's get one big selfie here. Come this way so we get the audience. All right, make some noise behind me.
Woo!
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Kate.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I think CZ and I were just saying this is probably the most number of people we've ever spoken in front of. And wow, isn't it terrific to see everyone in person?
Yeah.
Like, I spend a lot of time in my job talking about augmented reality and the metaverse, but I don't think anything yet beats this.
We're already in the metaverse.
It does feel a bit like it. Now, CZ, in so many ways, you're the man of the moment. And we just heard in the introduction about what's happened to cryptocurrency. And of course, we're going to talk about the $500 million that you've put into Twitter with Elon Musk, which has obviously been the big story of the last week. But I'd like to just start by talking about the context to this particular Web Summit, because I think it's really fascinating. You know, we had this surge in tech during the pandemic. It was a social and economic lifeline for so many people. Tech stocks were like this. And now, a little bit like has happened to cryptocurrency. They're on the floor. We're in this very difficult economic and political situation, not to mention the war in Ukraine. And it would just be very interesting to hear your reflections on some of that on 2022.
Yeah, so my view of this whole situation is actually crypto is probably the only stable thing in this very dynamic environment.
Okay, we'll come to that in a bit.
Right. So yes, price is volatile. But if you look at the technology, if you look at the fundamentals of cryptocurrencies, limited supply, nothing's changed. It's the most stable thing technology-wise in this whole turmoil situation. So price do fluctuate in US dollar or fiat currency prices. But that's just driven by the macroeconomics. It's the rest of the world that's not stable. So that's my view, which is a little bit of an extreme view, but that's how we view it.
And a bit controversial. And if we start by talking about what people are calling the crypto winter, I think we've seen the price of Bitcoin drop by 60% this year. When you say that crypto is stable, people who've lost huge amounts of money, let alone those who lost money when Terra and Luna collapsed, might think, hang on a second,
to save people. It's enough to kill people. It's enough because those who own technology help in terror. These are people who were killed by drones in Kyiv 2 weeks ago. They died in their own home. Bogdan Zamchenko was a young IT specialist. His wife Victoria was 6 months pregnant. They were found next to each other under the rubble. When you hear a story like this about Ukraine, you should know it is not an isolated case. In most cases, Russia bombs civilians, our houses, streets, and civilian infrastructure. They deliberately choose live targets. You may have seen the results of this Bellingcat investigation. Bellingcat found that Russian IT specialists are playing an active part in Russia's terrorist hits on Ukrainian cities. Before the war, they used to work in private IT companies. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Your chosen profession, your field of expertise is now a battlefield in Russia's war against Ukraine, a battleground between good and evil. And some IT specialists in Russia have made their choice to be aggressors and murderers. At the same time, others can help us defend against them and use power to stop this terror, save people, and restore the destroyed. This is exactly what you can do. You can help us to stop the list of terrorist victims from expanding. Young hematologist. She dropped her son off at kindergarten on her way to work, but she never made it to the clinic. She died in her car because of the Russian strike. An entire family in Dnipro, daughter, son, mother, and grandmother, were killed by a Russian missile. Only the family dog survived, and him, howling on the ruins. It may seem a tragedy of one family, but in reality it is a tragedy for the whole nation. The whole Ukraine was depressed when we saw it. I didn't know these people personally, but I know people who did. It's really close. Technology has, in many ways, brought us closer together through social media and messenger apps. But imagine, all of a sudden, a social media account stops getting updated. The person running it no longer responds to messages. And then you see the black and white photos. And you know that the unthinkable has happened. During this month of war, thousands of Ukrainian social media accounts will never be updated again. Those people are gone. Now Russian terrorists have chosen a new target for their attacks, our energy infrastructure. They are attacking our power plants. There are blackouts everywhere in the country. This is what Kyiv, our capital, usually looks like. And this is what our evenings look like now. As a result of Russian attacks in our power plants, every day we have no electricity, no communication, and no internet for hours. I think you can understand how challenging it is for a modern person, especially if you work remotely or online. And you know what else is challenging? Taking your children to a bomb shelter instead of taking them to school or after-school activities. And when children in Ukraine are attending school, we have to supply them with food and water because we do not know how long they will stay in the shelter. Now we have to invest not in high-tech solutions in schools. We have to buy generators. And I'm still struggling to see these two things together in the 21st century, children, and bomb shelters. I couldn't believe that in 2022, children would be sheltering away from bombs and missiles, just like in the old days of brutal wars. As one little boy said, people should be flying to Mars, not run into their basements. Now, together with our children, we are forced to light matches and candles across the country as the sun sets. It feels like a trip to the past, a trip we did not ask for. We have learned to select the most powerful power banks instead of the most beautiful lighting. We must consciously limit our electricity consumption so that it is enough for everyone because of this shortage in the aftermath of terrorist attacks on power plants. Imagine what it is like when terrorists destroy 40% of the energy generation in the whole country. In particular, 90% of wind energy and 50% of solar power plants. We are now learning to counter terrorist drones and missiles. We are strengthening our cybersecurity. We ensure the stability of all digital systems, both public and private sectors. And our Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhail Fedorov, will tell you more about it. I urge you all to listen to his talk. You will hear what specific projects you can join in the areas of your professional interest. From my side, I would like to invite you to join and help in the era where everyone can help in person. To help those who are under the constant terrorist attacks. Surviving a war zone and under such conditions that we have in Ukraine is not without consequences. We have conducted studies recently and found that more than 2/3 of Ukrainians now suffer from anxiety. Almost half of our families have been separated. I'm sure you understand that there is no point in talking about happening rate in Ukraine at all. The country and its people are in total crisis mode. These days, many of my projects are focused on mental health. But few organizations and individuals are equipped to help with mental health in the context of full-scale, constant terror. So we have to develop war-focused mental health projects from the scratch. This is how our national mental health program came into being with the support of World Health Organization. We want to ensure that every medical worker, policeman or policewoman, rescue worker and call center worker, anyone who works with people, is trained to be equipped to deal with psychological trauma. We want to self-help apps to appear on every smartphone in Ukraine. We want to make sure that modern-day technology is used to save, not harm people. For example, this is Sasha from Bucha. She's trying out her new bionic prosthetic hand. Russians shot their car when she and her parents were trying to escape the occupied city. Sasha bled for 2 days in the basement. Because of the occupants' presence, it was impossible to provide timely medical assistance. Now the kid is learning to control her new hand, and it was made in the USA. And this is Ivan. Russian tank ran over the car with this boy and his stepfather. Ivan's stepfather died, Ivan survived, but he lost his leg. This video was taken in California just a few days after Ivan received his new prosthetic leg. Prosthetics are high tech. I first properly understood the extent of the advances made in prosthetics when I met the incredible Hugh Herr in the United States. He's a professor at MIT, and he uses prostheses created in his laboratory. And people like him are inspiration. We have set ourselves a goal in Ukraine. Even if Russia wants to take away and destroy the way of life of our people and life overall, we have to give these people protection and all the opportunities to live. All the victims of Russian terror should receive the best treatment, the best rehabilitation, and the best prosthesis. Everything to make sure that can help living a full life. Russian terrorists are bombing our schools. Despite this, we aim to give our children access to education and anything else they need to be able to dream about the future. This is an area in which absolutely everyone can help. It's very easy to find projects to support our fight for freedom, our defense against terror, and the rescue for our people. And I'm asking you to find these projects. I cannot emphasize more. Helping Ukraine now means helping the world become a better place, where development and innovation are loaded, not terror, where children like Sasha and Ivan and many others can have limbs again and can learn and dream about space instead of hiding in basements, being afraid of their lives. To implement such projects and help people, I set up and launched my foundation a month ago. The focus of my foundation is the person. I believe that the recovery of our country begins with the people. If the strength of people is restored, the whole country will be restored. The enemy seeks to throw us back to the Middle Ages. Its primary targets are schools and hospitals. Here you can see their ruins, and there are already hundreds of them. So my first two priorities are education and medical care. And the third priority of my foundation is humanitarian aid. In other words, helping people to get back to life they are used to, when they have a place to live, food to eat, and warm clothes to wear. All the things are already needed. They are needed throughout Ukraine, and in the occupied regions in particular, where many people remain in partially or fully destroyed houses. A lot of people refuse to leave their homes due to various reasons, and that's why we need to help. These people are looking forward to our help. The first month of my foundation was devoted to this. We bought generators, firewood, other means of heating, and generally anything that would bring warmth back to our people. I believe that our big victory consists of small ones. Small victories of every person, victories over cold, hunger, and despair. And I believe that technology should be used to create, save, and help people, not to destroy. I believe that such technology is the future. Earlier, I told you that you are the force that moves the world. You have a potential and technologies that can help, not destroy. I'm certain that by helping Ukraine, you can move the world in the right direction. So I invite you to do so. Let's do it together. Thank you. Slava Ukraini! Hello.
Wow, Olena, that was incredibly powerful. You might join us as we formally open Web Summit with a short countdown. Minister, Mayor, First Lady, I now officially declare Web Summit open. Thank you so much to everyone. What an incredible leader. We're so grateful for her to be here and the entire Ukrainian delegation. It's absolutely fantastic to be back in Lisbon, Portugal. Enjoy your evening and see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you.